You has long been synonymous with freedom of speech. They defended it from even the most hated groups like the Nazis, the Klan, even the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was never about what you were saying. It was about the liberal principle of your right to say it. Well, they have new guidelines now, namely that before taking a case, ACL lawyers should consider if the case might cause offense to marginalized groups, or if a potential client's values are contrary to our values. Contrary to our values? Your values are free speech and the First Amendment. Those are your values. Your whole purpose in life is not to be worried about offense to marginalized groups, because we understand that free speech is an even more important value than never being offended.
So, you'd think that now that the whole woke circus is going out, the companies that guzzle that Kool-Aid would finally wake up. Well, some did, but plenty are still clinging to the same common sense nonsense that tanked their stocks and shredded their credibility. Enter Bill Maher, the unapologetic, anti-woke warrior ready to stomp out the last glowing embers of this cultural wildfire. And he didn't just talk about it. He did it live, in front of millions, torching hypocrisy right on his show. Let's begin.
Opposite of what you always were, you have to change your name. It's become a trend in America these days, morphing into something completely different from what you were founded as, but still pretending you're the old you. TLC stands for the Learning Channel. They used to have shows like Learn to Read and Ready, Set, Learn. Here's some of their present and recent offerings. Cake Boss, Gypsy Sisters, Toddlers and Tiaras, Extreme Couponing, What Not to Wear, My Teen is Pregnant and So Am I. 1,000-Pound Sisters and Alaskan Women Looking for Love. And that's just the shows about the Palins.
Mark kicks off by torching TLC for abandoning its original mission, the Learning Channel, a network once devoted to educating and inspiring Americans. Instead of teaching, he argues, TLC has turned into a circus of woke absurdity. Gone are the documentaries and science shows that made viewers smarter. In their place are programs that glorify obesity, promote chaos by letting kids rule the house, and push the idea that you should only date people who parrot your political or woke beliefs. Maher's message is clear. TLC didn't just lose its direction. It surrendered its backbone, trading knowledge and authenticity for pandering and virtue signaling. In doing so, it's become the perfect example of how far corporate America has fallen.
In A&E stands for arts. Seriously. They used to show the symphony. Now they have Deep Fried Dynasty, Hoarders, Storage Wars, Ghost Hunters, and Psychic Kids. You know, for people who find the Learning Channel too intellectual.
Joining the bandwagon was A&E, once proudly known as arts and entertainment. But tune in today and you'll find something far different. The art, gone. The entertainment, replaced with woke propaganda disguised as progressive storytelling. Instead of thought-provoking documentaries and creative expression, A&E now pushes bizarre, agenda-driven content that glorifies confusion and calls it representation. It's as if the A in A&E has been completely erased, leaving behind a hollow shell that's all E for empty entertainment. Maher points out that what was once a platform for artistic brilliance has now become another casualty of the culture war, proof that even networks built on creativity have chosen ideology over authenticity and ratings over reality.
History Channel has no history, and MTV has no music. I'm just saying, you can buy a petting zoo and turn it into a bondage dungeon, but you gotta change the sign.
Maher's absolutely right. These TV networks are drowning in hypocrisy. They parade their old brand names as if they still stand for something meaningful. Yet their content screams otherwise. That it is now more about cheap entertainment than actual art. Then drop the pretense and just call it E. The same goes for TLC. If there's no learning left in the Learning Channel, maybe it's time to rebrand as TC. The Chaos Channel. Maher's point cuts deep. Don't claim virtue or legacy when your programming has completely abandoned it. Either live up to your name or admit you've sold out to the woke machine. Because right now, these once proud channels are little more than hollow echoes of their former selves.
Boy, put a gay man on the cover, which I guess we're supposed to celebrate, even though it was 2021 and there's already a dozen magazines for gay guys, 13 if you count Martha Stewart Living. Do we really need LGBT representation in Playboy? There's a transgender teenager on every show on television except reruns of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Aside from TV networks, another surprising entry into the woke parade was Playboy. Yes, the iconic men's magazine that built its empire on celebrating women and masculinity. Out of nowhere, it decided to pander to the LGBTQ community, swapping its once bold and unapologetic image for political correctness. The irony is almost laughable. Nearly every TV show, streaming platform, and magazine already shoves LGBTQ representation down everyone's throat. Yet Playboy thought jumping on the same bandwagon would make it progressive. Instead, it just looked desperate, betraying its brand and alienating the very audience that made it famous. Maher's point rings true here. Companies like Playboy aren't doing this out of genuine inclusivity. They're chasing trends, sacrificing identity for validation. It's performative wokeness at its finest, and the result is a brand that no longer knows who it's for or what it stands for.
On with the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which now celebrates all kind of bodies except, the good kind. Was it really such a crime against humanity to have one magazine once a year that was about finding creative ways for supermodels to hide their... Now it looks like it's edited by the Huffington Post. Jeez, you have every other magazine. Do you hate Dad that much?
The whole idea behind the cultural shift was simple yet dangerous: to erode masculinity and glorify femininity. Society began treating manhood as a flaw, something to mock or fix, while femininity was elevated beyond criticism. That's why you never hear the term toxic femininity. Only toxic masculinity. IT became a convenient catchphrase to shame men for being assertive, competitive, or strong. Look at the pattern. Our TV shows are filled with brilliant, flawless moms and clueless, bumbling dads who can't change a light bulb without supervision. The message is subtle but relentless. Men are the problem. Women are the solution. Maher calls out perfectly. This wasn't about equality anymore. It was about rewriting the cultural script. Masculinity wasn't just sidelined. It was deliberately mocked, weakened, and replaced with a version of manhood that's afraid to exist unapologetically.
Valentine's Day, which was always a day to celebrate coupledom. It wasn't complicated. Flowers, chocolates, blowjob. And yet, every year now, I more and more hear this idea that Valentine's Day is also a day to celebrate being alone. Be your own Valentine. That's right, on the one day was specifically set aside to honor bonding between two people. Don't do that. Make it about the opposite.
Next, Maher turned his sharp eye toward Valentine's Day, and this one was almost comical. A day once meant to celebrate love, connection, and shared joy has now been hijacked by the woke mob and stripped of its meaning. Instead of encouraging romance or companionship, they've twisted the narrative to glorify loneliness. Suddenly, being single isn't just a phase. It's a lifestyle statement. You're told that wanting love or partnership somehow makes you dependent or weak. Maher ridiculed the absurdity of it all. A holiday bill on affection has now turned into a self-love pep rally. The woke crowd has managed to suck the warmth and spontaneity right out of Valentine's Day, replacing roses and chocolates with hashtags and hollow affirmations. What used to be a celebration of togetherness has become yet another casualty of ideological overreach. And Maher isn't letting that slide. The woke crowd's agenda never fails to outdo common sense. Take the Boy Scouts, for example. For generations, there were two clear paths, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, each serving a purpose, teaching values, and building character in their own way. But suddenly, that wasn't good enough. In the name of inclusion, girls had to be allowed into the Boy Scouts too. Why? It's not as if the Girl Scouts were closed or lacking opportunities. They already had their own proud tradition. But no, the woke movement thrives on fixing what isn't broken. Maher points out the absurdity. Inclusion has turned into intrusion. It's not about equality anymore. It's about erasing distinctions that once made sense. The result? Confusion, controversy, and the slow destruction of institutions that taught discipline, teamwork, and leadership, all sacrificed at the altar of performative progress. Ah, the body positivity movement, one of the few woke crusades I actually felt sorry for. On paper, it started with good intentions, self-acceptance, confidence, and freedom from unrealistic beauty standards. But like everything the woke crowd touches, it spiraled out of control. Soon, it wasn't about promoting self-love. It was about glorifying obesity and dismissing genuine health concerns as fat phobia. Maher called it what it truly is, a ticking time bomb disguised as empowerment. You can't preach self-care while normalizing habits that destroy your body. Science, logic, and common sense all got tossed aside in the name of feelings, and the result? A movement that collapsed under the weight of its own contradictions. Because no matter how loud the hashtags or how pretty the slogans, you can't make unhealthy healthy, and deep down, everyone knew it was only a matter of time before reality caught up. Exactly my thoughts. Since when did the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, start worrying about offending people? This is the same organization that built its legacy defending free speech, no matter how controversial or unpopular. Their mission was crystal clear: protect the rights of anyone being silenced or persecuted for speaking their mind. But somewhere along the line, things changed. Once a few woke ideologues climbed into leadership positions, the ACLU's moral backbone began to crumble. The fearless defenders of liberty turned into cautious appeasers, picking and choosing which speech was acceptable. Maher hit the nail on the head. An institution once synonymous with courage and constitutional integrity is now an echo chamber for pandering politics. The ACLU stopped defending freedom and started defending feelings, proving that even the strongest institutions can fall when ideology outweighs principle. In the end, Maher's message couldn't be clearer. Wokeness isn't progress. It's cultural decay wrapped in moral superiority. From TV networks and magazines to scouting programs and civil rights institutions, everything once built on purpose and principle has been hijacked by virtue signaling and hypocrisy. These companies preach inclusion while excluding common sense, celebrate authenticity while silencing dissent, and glorify weakness while mocking strength. Maher's crusade isn't about politics. It's about sanity. It's a call to wake up from the delusion that destroying tradition equals enlightenment. Because when every pillar of culture bends to appease outrage, what's left isn't progress. It's chaos disguised as compassion. And Maher, for one, isn't afraid to call that out, loudly, unapologetically, and on live TV. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed our spicy commentary, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.